Hey guys, my name's Whitney. I have three kiddos. One is 6, one is soon to be 4, and one is 4 months. And I wanted to hop on and just share my experience with CMPI, so cow's milk protein intolerance, while breastfeeding. My first kiddo was perfectly fine, didn't have any intolerances whatsoever, so I didn't even know that this was a thing until our second was born. And now our third, who is 4 months. So I'll probably go more into depth because both of their cases were a little bit different. And I'm actually still working through my daughter's currently, trying to figure out what all the triggers and intolerances are. She's back to baseline, and I have brought certain things that I cut out back. Some have failed, some are good, so still working through all of those. But I just thought that I would kind of state some of the signs that I've seen throughout both, and then I'll probably do a video that breaks down my experience with my son and his intolerances, and then with my daughter and her intolerances and kind of the differences and my mental state differences between the two. I think I'm really doing this video because, especially with my first, my second baby, but first one with the intolerances, I like mentally broke. It's really hard to deal with something like this that has become more common. But if you don't know anything about it, it can be really triggering, I guess I should say. I went into a pretty dark place, didn't know anything about it, and it can be scary, right? When it's our babies and you're the mama, all you want to do is everything that you can, and when there's not very much information on it, and doctors, they know a little bit about it, but not to the extent that you wish, or sometimes it gets kind of passed along as maybe something else. It can be really hard. So anyway, I just wanted to start this video today to kind of say that I'm going to share those things with both my children that have experienced intolerances through the breast milk. My biggest signs that I noticed right off the bat, super fussy, like breastfeeding, super gassy, mucus in the stools, which, mucus every now and then can be pretty common. I'm going to go ahead and say too, obviously I'm not a doctor. This is not my specialty. These are just my experiences, so I want to share them. But obviously, if this is something that you're going through, please reach out to your doctor because I'm not a professional. I just want to share my experiences and help if I can, because all I wanted was help or somebody to talk to that went through this when I first started going through this. And then here I am again, and it's been a lot easier for me this second time around because I spotted it right off the bat. I had been through it, and I know how to get through it, and it's okay, right? So anyway, so colicky are some signs, super fussy, gassy, mucus in the stools, really foul smelling stools. I mean, with breastfeeding, they should usually be kind of like sweet smelling, right? But foul, like almost like vinegar, right? It's pretty stinky. They can turn green, which sometimes green poop can be normal too. So, obviously if it's an accumulation of the signs or stuff that doesn't go away, you might be experiencing something like that. Let's see, what was another one? I'm trying to think of the differences between the two. Oh, both of mine got like eczema, like right here between their eyebrows. It's kind of like a little discoloration of skin, and kind of like flaky. So they both had it right here in between their eyebrows, and then kind of like on their wrists, and then on their little feet, on the outsides, kind of like right below the ankle. There's like this little portion, which my daughter is still currently clearing up from that, so I could probably show that sometime. Here she is. Yeah. Let's see, but I think blood in the stool. So my son had that. Like I said, I'll kind of break down both of theirs, and the difference of what I've experienced with both of theirs. But blood in the stools, mucus. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. My daughter, she had, we thought, I brought it up, and I should mention both of my kids, I noticed this at 2 months with both of them. But at the 2-month appointment, I had brought up to our pediatrician, my daughter had been stuffy since she was born. And yeah, she was a winter baby. And she has 2 older brothers who, like, were sick all the time. It was winter. But her mucus, the color never changed. It was always like clear. And so I just thought that was odd. But I brought it up at the appointment and I was like, is there any way that she can have allergies yet? And the pediatrician was like, no, So, anyways, we just thought that she was like her nostrils, or not her nostrils, her nasal passages were still really small because obviously they're small for a really long time. But it ended up being as soon as like I said, I'll go into detail about both of theirs, but when I cut the things that I thought could be triggering, within 2 days, she had no more congestion. And I mean, we were sucking her nose every day. And so that was huge. And then obviously all the other things cleared up too. But that alone, I was just like, oh my gosh, this whole time, like that was a symptom that she had that my son never had. Yeah, so there's an array of different symptoms that different kiddos can have. Some have a lot, some don't, but those are some of the ones that I've experienced with both of them or one or the other. But yeah, I just wanted to be able to share my experiences with both of them, and hopefully, if you're questioning it and you've brought it up to your pediatrician and you just don't really know, or you just might think, like, that's the thing, as a mom, you should just trust your gut and, feel like, oh, something is off, or something's not right. And as I share my case with my son, you'll find, like, if it goes too long, it can cause a whole bunch of problems, which is also even more scary. Yeah, so she's so silly. But it is so great when they start doing better and you don't have to worry about all of the fussiness and like what is wrong. And so cow's milk protein intolerance. So it can be, obviously that's mainly like the protein that is within cow's milk or dairy products, right? That's one of the biggest intolerances. There are allergens, but I didn't experience that personally with my kids. Mine have been intolerances. So my son grew out of his at 18 months. I was able to reintroduce and he did fine. But so the dairy is a big one. Soy is another big one. Eggs is another big one. And what's crazy is my son's about to be 4, and with her, there's way more of a list now, like that are included of things that it could be. So like nuts, there's certain fruits, like my daughter has an issue with a certain fruit, which is just wild to me. Certain meats, and yeah, and what I'll also share on this channel is I only eat 1 ingredient foods now. So mainly meat. I just reintroduced eggs yesterday. So I'm trialing my daughter on that. So far, so good. So I'm hoping, because I would love to have my eggs again. Another big thing. So everything you read, like when you're researching this, they say, it takes about 2 to 4 weeks for your breast milk to clear. And obviously I haven't done any studies on it, but I know what I've experienced with my children. And I just want to say that I absolutely do not think that that is true. With my son, it went on for a lot longer. There were more intolerances, and I will explain how that was a big difference, but it took his gut longer to be able to start healing. But I also wasn't catching all of his intolerances right away, so it took longer. But with my daughter, I knew from the list, like, of, the top intolerances of what I was eating. I was like, okay, I'm going to cut all of those at the same time, and then I'll just start to reintroduce one at a time. And that's currently, I still have a couple things to reintroduce to see if there's anything else that is an intolerance for her. But when I've done that with her this time, I mean, within 2 days was seeing massive results. Massive results. And I'll get back to when I talk about my son in a separate video why this is such a trigger for me, because I had a terrible experience of being told that I could not breastfeed, and that I needed to switch to formula for a little bit because it took so long to clear, and that just has not been my case. So again, like, listen to your doctor or specialist, but when I did, it did not benefit me or my children. And I was really big on breastfeeding. Like, I've been breastfeeding the last 6 years straight. I went and breastfed all of my kids up to when I was pregnant and had the other one. And then, so it's been like 6 years straight. But it was really important to me. And if it's really important to you, I just want you to know that, especially this time around, it has absolutely not taken more than 24 to 48 hours to see a difference if you're getting the right triggers. And if you're getting those out of your system, you should pretty quickly, like I said, like, my experience has been 24 to 48 hours of seeing like gassiness go away, pooping less. Like, that's another thing. If there's many stools a day, I mean like multiple, when she was having issues, she was pooping like 8 or more times a day. When she had gotten to a point prior where she was, not going maybe until like every 5 days. So obviously I knew something was up, along with the smells, the green, mucus, blah, blah, blah. There's more. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. But so don't feel so down like, oh my gosh, I can't breastfeed anymore. It's going to take forever. I got to pump all this, because honestly, if you can find out what the triggers are, or if you're able to do a complete elimination diet, you would start seeing results pretty quickly. But that's, again, just my experience. I just wanted to let you know that, because I have experienced it now 2 different times, and I remember that was a really big fear for me with my first. I was freaking out, like, how am I gonna do this, and how am I gonna cut all this stuff? And it's very overwhelming, right? And so I don't know, now that this has happened with 2 out of my 3 kids, I feel like maybe I'm just supposed to share about it and share my knowledge, and like how I experienced the first compared to the second. Like I said, my headspace is way better this time around, and what I've done differently, and how I've like stayed chill about it. So yeah, I will post a video within the next couple of days talking about my son, because obviously I went through it with him first, and that was a very dark time for me as well. I also experienced postpartum anxiety and depression with him, like severe. So I think part of it was he was a COVID baby, but also on top of COVID, I experienced this for the first time and just like could not get help with his symptoms, and then it just progressed. And so I'll talk about that, but much better place this time around. Like I said, just stay positive, and there is support for you out there, whether it's your doctor or a specialist or mothers who have been through this. And I just want you to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and I will share more about my son's story next. All right, I look forward to talking to you.